Nighttime. A beautiful but silent house. 6-year-old Emily is playing with her toys, while David watches her with loving eyes. Suddenly, there is a loud knock on the door. David opens it to find Richard standing there with a few police officers. Introduction to Richard. Richard is an extremely cunning, powerful, and ruthless man. He owns a vast business empire and controls everything through his wealth and connections. He married David's mother as his second wife and always considered David inferior. His personality is full of deception, cruelty, and outward charm. He uses money and threats to manipulate people. Now, his goal is to make David weak and helpless forever so that he can gain full control over Emily. Richard, with a fake smile, David, these are legal documents. Emily will now live with us. David, shocked and furious, you can't do this. She is my daughter. Police officer, in a stern tone, Mr. David, we have court orders. We have to take Emily. Emily clings to David in fear. The police forcibly separate her, and Richard takes her away in his car. David falls to the ground, watching helplessly, his eyes filled with tears. Richard's mansion, a grand yet cold and lifeless estate. Emily sits scared while Richard yells angrily. Richard, furiously, missing your father? Forget him. From now on, you will live as I say. Emily trembles in fear. Richard tells her to sit at the dinner table and eat, but she refuses. Richard slams a glass on the table in anger, making Emily flinch. Richard, shouting, when I say something, you must obey immediately. Richard, in rage, grabs Emily and drags her into another room, locking the door behind him. Emily's soft sobs can be heard. David sits anxiously in a lawyer's office, hope glimmering in his eyes but helplessness evident on his face. The walls are lined with legal books, but he feels as if none of them hold the solution to his pain. He shifts restlessly in his chair. Lawyer, looking at documents, Richard has presented evidence in court claiming that you are an unstable father. He argues that your financial condition is poor and that you cannot meet Emily's needs. David, a mix of shock, anger, and grief, this is a complete lie. I love my daughter more than anything. She is my world. Lawyer, taking a deep breath, look, the law values evidence, not emotions. Richard has powerful connections. To win in court, we need proof that you are a great father and that Richard's intentions are not pure. David's mind feels heavy. He lowers his head, picturing Emily's innocent face, probably scared and alone somewhere at this moment. Suddenly, his eyes light up with new determination. He raises his head and speaks firmly. David, with firm resolve, I am willing to do anything for my daughter. If I need evidence, I will get it. I will prove that I am a good father and expose Richard's truth to the world. The lawyer gives a slight smile. Lawyer, encouragingly, if you are truly ready to fight, then we must tackle this case from every angle. First, we need to find Richard's weaknesses. David's eyes shine with hope. He rises from his chair, feeling a new surge of energy. Walking toward the door, he turns back to the lawyer and says, David, determined, I will expose Richard. And I will go to any lengths to bring my daughter back. A serious silence fills the room. The camera zooms in on David's face, no longer showing weakness, but the unstoppable love and determination of a father ready for battle. David begins his desperate quest to uncover Richard's truth. As his last hope, he seeks help from his old friend Mark, a skilled journalist. Mark, typing rapidly on his laptop, I found some files on Richard. Look at this, he has been accused of financial fraud, illegal transactions, and child abuse. This file could be the key proof of his criminal activities and corruption. David, holding back tears, I need solid evidence. I will get my daughter back at any cost. Mark and David work together to keep a close watch on Richard's activities, gathering multiple witnesses willing to testify against him. Late at night, David hides at the edge of a deserted alley, watching Richard as he exchanges money for a file with a suspicious man. David quickly turns on his phone camera and starts recording. Suddenly, Richard spots him and gestures to his men angrily. Richard, furiously, get him. He knows too much. David starts running. A tense chase begins through narrow streets. At one turn, a man attacks David, but he barely escapes. Wounded and exhausted, he sends the video to Mark. In court, Mark presents the video as evidence, clearly exposing Richard's illegal dealings. The judge carefully reviews everything before announcing the final verdict. Judge, based on the presented evidence, the court grants custody of Emily to her biological father, David. Legal action will be taken against Richard. David, with tears of joy, embraces Emily tightly, while Richard, in shock and rage, is taken into police custody.